We're here with big, sexy Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash, welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report. You know, we could not have our 10 million view celebration without you. You've been such a staple here on the show for the last several years. Good seeing you again, and welcome back here to Chicago. How's Wizard World working out for you so far?
We came in today. Well, first off, nice to see you, Damian. And thanks for having me again. We came in today. I had a little bit of a weather problem, so I got a late start, but got to run into John Cena. I got to say hi to him and got to see some of the fans, so it was a good day.
Now, before you arrived here to Chicago, out there, people have been talking about what you said in an interview. And I'm not going to put words into your mouth, but to summarize the headlines that have been out throughout the internet wrestling community is you saying that when two men became champion, the wrestling business took a downturn. And those two men being Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero. And I'm not sure if you've had the opportunity to fully explain that, especially since most of the people out there watching only saw that headline and reacted to it. So how about we get a little deeper explanation into why you would say that moment at WrestleMania 20 had that impact on the wrestling business?
Okay, first of all, as I've stated before, this is my opinion.
Are you entitled to an opinion?
Well, I pay taxes, so I think I am entitled to an opinion. Yeah, and the thing is this is news that this came out of my mouth more than 10 years ago. That they brought up vanilla midgets. If anybody read the actual interview, the guy was making reference to the fact that I might be the most hated person besides Hulk Hogan in the internet wrestling community, which I think at this point I might have leapfrogged him. But Terry and I are good friends. It's just like we're never going to be what the purists believe is a pro wrestler. But you know what? When I first went to work for Vince McMahon and went into Titan Tower, there wasn't really a Hall of Fame. There was just one person's picture on a wall, and that person was Andre the Giant. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Andre wasn't probably the greatest technical wrestler ever. When him and Hulk had WrestleMania 3, I don't think that I don't remember him doing a lot off the top. I mean, there were some chain wrestling involved. Mm-hmm. My whole point is that's what I grew up with.
Right.
Andre the Giant, Haystacks Calhoun, bigger than life people. And here's news for the smarts out there. An 8-year-old kid that buys an action figure doesn't know who can work and who can't work. They just like their outfits. So, thank God for me, right?
Breaking
No, but the thing is, I've had the privilege to work with both Eddie and work with Chris, and they were phenomenal. I mean, like I've said, I can have a good match with anybody that's great, mm-hmm. and I had good matches with both those guys because they're both great. I just thought, and people, and when I remembered the moment, as being, wow, that's got to be great for them because they did leave WCW because they felt they were underutilized, and they came and they went to the big time, yeah. The WWE, and they became champions, and they became on the same night they got to share that, which was great. Now for me. And for all the 6'4" and above auto workers, all of a sudden it was just like, I'm sorry, but I don't want to see Ali get knocked out by a 112-pound guy, and it's just my perception. I'm sorry. I watch a basketball game. I watch the post players. I don't watch the point guards. Right. It's going to be. You're going to see a world through the eyes of what my wife one day was standing on a chair, and she turned around and realized she was eye to eye with me, and she said, "My God, this is how you see the world?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "It's amazing." Yeah. She said, "It's such a different perspective," and I said, "It really is." So, there's the old saying, until you walk a mile in my shoe, until you actually walk a mile in my shoes at about 6'10" and a half, then maybe you'll get why my perception is the way it is. I take nothing away from Eddie. I take nothing away from Chris. They were great talents. I just think that people look for superheroes and people look for action heroes to be bigger than life. There's a reason that Christian Bale is in armor in Batman, that he's not dressed like Adam West was. There's a reason why Lou Ferrigno's not the Hulk. They CGI a guy that's much bigger and muscular. So, and then the other two guys that I lumped in there, that's just because they're on top. And who does? And if you're going to shoot on somebody on top, not somebody that you can't make money with.
But one point that you've made, and I'm not sure it's been heard enough, is your issue was not on a personal level with those talents.
Absolutely not. I mean, I got along really well with. And I didn't have that close a relationship with Chris. But we were always cordial. I mean, we've made car trips together. When I went to Japan, one of my first Japan trips, he was a Pegasus kid and was one of the few Americans on the bus. Yeah. So we went to the yakitori houses together and sat and had beers, and so it wasn't like I didn't spend time with these guys. And the thing is, we're a very tight brotherhood. The guys that are workers. It's like, I remember one time Jimmy Powers was in a bar in Calgary, and I wasn't that good of friends with Jimmy Powers, but some guy started putting the boots to him, and all of a sudden 11 guys started putting the boots to the guys. It's just like, he might not be our friend, but he's one of us, and you don't touch him. Right. And that's always been the way it is. So, it's those guys, and rest their souls on top of it. They're no longer with us, and it's like people take it as being insensitive. Well, somebody tells me a story about my father who's passed, and they said he was I never saw your dad without an 8-ounce glass of whiskey in his hand and a girl on his knee and a cigarette in the other hand. Well, that's their perception of my dad. I don't take offense to it, and I don't say, hey, wait, you can't say that. He's deceased. Right. It's just somebody telling me their perception of my father when they met him that, that I didn't get a chance to spend but 8 years with. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm not going to ever apologize for how I feel and what I feel, And then I was talking to some two jackoffs on Sirius, who, by the way, I hope I sound a little bit more awake this time. Maybe because you couldn't talk over me. Anyway.
I took mental notice how I'm letting you speak.
Yeah. I see. I lost my train of thought there. So.
Well, let me say this. I've had the privilege of walking around with you. And walking around with a giant, and the point you make is difficult to comprehend until you get that. I mean, you're huge, Kevin, and people look at you not because you're Kevin Nash, but because clearly you're somebody and doing something because you have that presence and you have that look.
I've been a big man since I was 14 years old. Mm-hmm. And that's and my son has that now, and it's a different when you're called hey big man and you're still a 14-year-old kid, that puts a pressure on you. That doesn't take away from anything I've said, but what I was going to say is my opinion is my opinion, and the guys from Sirius, this is where I've actually retract my thought. They said, well, because you're a prominent figure in the wrestling world, your opinion means more. Mm-hmm. Well, so if Spielberg says, don't go see this movie, you say, well, that's Steven Spielberg. Right. I'm not going to go see that movie. No. You know what the problem is? There's so many sheep in this planet. Right. It's just like everybody, if they haven't dropped yet, go up on the second floor, get on the peak of your garage, jump and see if you can get them to drop. I have a set. I'm not afraid to say what I want when I want to. I got an opinion. If you want to know what it is, all you got to do is ask me. I'll be more than happy to tell you. If you don't like it, I'll just talk louder. But I stick by what I said. I think that the business lost something. And I was trying to say to those guys before they rudely cut me off 73 times, I've been privileged for a lot of years to be in the back and be in the inner workings of the business. And a guy's name will come up and everybody will do the, yeah, but God, he's so small. Mm-hmm. And it goes on to this day. And if you think it don't, it does. And they can say wrestling's changed. You know what? I'll say this then. Women's gymnastics has changed because I've never seen more screw-ups and individualized, and these are supposed to be the top of the, I don't remember Nadia Comaneci or any of those, none of those girls falling off beams or, I never saw any of that. Yeah. I mean, it's just, so what you telling me that as our society gets more computerized and more kids sit in front of a television 14 hours a day and we have more obese people, that just because the actual pool of genetically gifted people is getting smaller and smaller, that we just have to accept mediocrity? I don't. Go to the gym. Mm-hmm. Make yourself better. I was a 6'10", 197-pound kid, and I became a world champion in wrestling. I mean, I guarantee it's a work, but putting that much muscle on wasn't. Yeah. So it's like, and I still stay in the gym, you know, and it's just like I'm dedicated to a lifestyle, and whether you might like me, hate me, whatever it is, at 53 years old, you can call me tomorrow, and I can give you 12 to 15 solid minutes at the same pace I did 20 years ago, because I learned from some of the best. Don't make your body your gimmick, because sooner or later it'll go. And work like a big man. And I've always worked like a big man. Frankenstein doesn't move fast. Jason didn't move fast, except the one movie that was bad.
Freddy Versus?
Yeah.
Or Jason X.
Yeah,
that was horrible.
That was horrible. Jason.
Still great, but horrible.
Yeah, but horrible. I mean, any of those monsters, you know, Michael Myers, he doesn't, you know, he vanishes, but he doesn't move fast. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just like, you know, to me, the Mummy, come on, really? The Mummy couldn't even do anything, and he was like a monster. I mean, he was like the slowest monster on earth.
Is it valid to say, if you're saying the wrestling business has not changed, the inside of the wrestling business has not changed, but to the fans and to the fans of today, the product that they see has changed because the landscape and the environment of available talents has changed? Is that an accurate statement?
I would say that you put that very eloquently.
I do that sometimes.
I think that's your job. I'm supposed to ramble over here. But then again, I just woke up, so who knows what I'm talking about.
Well, Kevin, you're not rambling. I mean, everything you're saying makes sense. And again, as you said, it's your opinion, and people out there are going to differ from your opinion and have their own opinion. And that's what's great about Twitter and social media and whatnot, is because everyone.
I'm a Romney guy. Of course, I'm an Obama guy. So I mean, that's just going to happen.
Mr. Nash, sir, I'm a Ron Paul kind of guy.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm just, neutral, go in between.
I would, you know what? I would, if Romney didn't put Paul as his vice president, he'd be an idiot.
Yeah,
because that's the only chance the guy has.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That, or maybe show up his tax returns. Sorry, not a Romney fan. Your old man was the governor of my state for like 89 years growing up. Corrupt. Anyway.
Kevin, always great speaking to you. Thank you for clarifying those comments, and hopefully people listen to this and hear.
To the Guerrero family and to the Benoit families, I meant no disrespect to either of Eddie or Chris's legacy, them as a human being. I'm just talking about my opinion of how I optically look at two small guys being world champions. Do you get that? It's the same thing I said 10 years ago. It's why they all had a mass exodus from WCW when I had the pencil in my hand and went up north. brother. I had to throw that in.
What's that? Did you get a new clone? What's that? It smells. It's an interesting smell.
It's a Hulk. It's actually it's from the Avenger series.
Really?
Yes. It's the Hulk. Me and Dave Hero have got an exclusive on it. Buddy of mine, Dave Hero, which is a marketing genius.
The Hulk clone. Kevin, thank you so much. Always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for joining us as we celebrate 10 million views. 10 million people have watched and looked at David Hero's face. That's scary. Kevin, thank you so much. Kevin Nash here on the Pro Wrestling Report.